Okay, so I'm here today to make this video to explain what happens when the planet Venus goes into the 11th house in your birth chart. What is Venus? Venus represents, you know, romantic little affairs in general, the people that you attract romantically in general. Venus represents, of course, women. It represents art and music and beauty and all those little artistic beautiful things and stuff. Also, oh yeah, that's just about it. The 11th house. The 11th house represents large social network circles, organizations, and groups. This is a house of financial gains, huge financial gains. You see, the second house represents, the wealth that you might be able to generate on your own. It represents, maybe your family's wealth. The eighth house represents the wealth you can get from others, or the wealth that you can inherit, or the wealth from your spouse and his family or her family. But the 11th house is seen and known as a house of huge gains, massive gains. Just financial gains that you can get from large groups and organizations, just large amounts of people pulling in huge amounts of financial gains. And it sort of makes sense because it's the house that follows after the 10th. The 10th house is, your career, and the 11th house is sort of like the network circle within your career, within your profession, and just networking and connecting with people, within your profession. And through those groups and through those professions and through those networking, you can, acquire a lot of gains just from a large amount of people. This house is originally ruled by the planet Saturn in the sign Aquarius. And seeing as how the planet Saturn originally rules the 10th house and the 11th house, it tells us and shows us that, Saturn is an important planet that you need to look at when it comes to your career, when it comes to your profession, and that Saturn itself can really bless you and give you a lot of financial gains. It's not just all doom and gloom. Aquarius is a rebellious sign. It's just rebellious sign that sort of go against the flow and conventional society norms. You can see rebellious civil rights leaders and stuff. And usually, in order to be a leader, you got to have people to lead. So it makes sense that Aquarius rules this house because you need a group, you need an organization, and you need to lead people. So that is sort of the type of environment and theme and atmosphere that the 11th house is. And when you put Venus in this house, we see that predominantly most of the women that most of the people in your network circle and stuff, they could be women. You could have a lot of women as your friends, and maybe a lot of women are your allies. Maybe they help you and support you a lot, or they are there for you financially. Maybe a lot of your financial gains are in areas in relation to, Venusian type things, or maybe the things that you make a lot of financial gains is directed towards a predominantly, female audience. What else? We could also see that you would predominantly most likely meet a lot of your romantic encounters in generally, through large organizational events. It could be professional wise, or I don't know, it could just be just these large group organizations or large gatherings, or you could be introduced to your spouse or your romantic partners by, friends in your network circle. What else can I say about this? Venus loves being in this house because Venus and Saturn, they're friends mythologically. Venus here is a natural significator of wealth also, because Venus is the original ruler of the second house, which represents your own personal financial wealth. So, Venus here just feels good. Venus here can, incline someone to be able to get a lot of wealth or be able to, get some wealth. But mainly you would see this wealth come in, like I said, through women and through things that are maybe in association in relation to women. Someone with Venus in the 11th house could also be a bit flirtatious. You know, they could possibly be very flirtatious and maybe promiscuous, and maybe a lot of group networking settings or whatever. And that is just about it as far as what I have to say for what happens when Venus goes into the 11th house in your birth chart. I hope this gave you great insight and clarity on what happens and what you can expect when Venus goes into the 11th house in your birth chart. And thank you for watching.